Hello.
Good morning.
Good to see you. We are here on our third day in
Yep.
Malawi, and we're going to take a moment today to tell you about some of our trips yesterday and then give you a quick idea of where we're off to. Today is windy this morning, you might be able to hear that, but it's another beautiful day. So Hannah, let's do a quick overview of what we did yesterday, then we'll each share a story that really stood out to us.
Sure, yeah. So we went to two sites yesterday. I forget the names of both of them, but
We started in Chigunga,
Chigunga, there we go.
went to Dalu.
Better memory than I
Something
have.
like
That's
that.
good.
Yeah.
Two different villages. We got to go, we were welcomed into both churches by the community coming to sing for us, which was really amazing. And then we got to hear different testimonies and different stories during the service there of what the community has been doing, how they've been impacted by the Global Lift Collective and the different charities that are partnering together to help their local communities. A standout story for I think both of us would have been a lady who was selling honey. She had not been on the course for beekeeping, but had heard from someone else about beekeeping and then prayed and fasted and wanted to hear more about what she could do to start beekeeping, and learnt, and now has her own beehive. She'd prayed for bees to come to her hive, and she prayed and fasted, and they did. And now she has a good selection of honey, which she was showing us, then wanted to sell, which was incredible. And just her whole demeanour has changed from being someone with no hope and no purpose and no drive to someone who's an entrepreneur, who is diversifying in her business, who is loving keeping her bees and is really proud of the work that she's doing. So it's just really inspiring to hear her story and how God has changed her life and how she's now blessing others through the work that she is doing. So that was awesome to hear from her yesterday.
Yeah, we just loved her story, but there's so many. So to kind of try and paint the picture, we met in a small, very feels very rural, very rural here where we are in Malawi, outside of Salima. We drove for about an hour from where we were in sort of outside of Salima on the Lake Malawi beach into the countryside, and that was great fun and very bumpy. It's got a good rattle about, and but yeah, really into some of the rural communities. And then we sort of arrive at a church, and this church group was a collaborative collection of churches, 9 little local churches working together, and just each of them had stories to tell of how, the work of GLC, and particularly when we think about GLC, particularly in Malawi, it's this combination of Hope International, World Relief and Tear Fund. And so these were primarily World Relief based projects, but even they were saying, but we learn about the beekeeping through Tear Fund. So this is where this collaboration is kind of really cool. And so these 9 churches together, and they just were able to list off all the different things that have been happening. There was another particularly cool thing that World Relief do called Families for Life. So these couples were getting up, they'd been through this course called Families for Life that World Relief ran, and just showing how it completely transformed. And you could see it, particularly from the lead couple involved, how they're talking about how they've gone from, the guy was talking about how he'd grown to see his wife as his friend, which apparently is a huge cultural shift over here, and loving his kids, and just how it's transformed family life. That was really cool. We also, you particularly liked, and so did I, this guy called William, who was a young man just into his 20s, just learned how to weld and started a little welding shop. You see a load of people going around these incredibly rough roads on bikes, and so one of our thoughts was, how do these bikes keep going? I mean, this is not like Cambridge, guys. This is like mud ruts, and they're riding
just
bikes.
Boulders in the road, they're going around them. It's
with
incredible.
You think you see people stack some stuff on a bike in Cambridge. I mean, yesterday coming back, we had a cow on the back of that was a motorbike, but still. But I mean, stacked high with wood or with baskets they've been making, charcoal. So how do they keep the bikes going? And this guy is a welder, and he was fixing bikes primarily and welding things onto them, and just so young, just learned 3 months ago, started his business, has already been able to start contributing to the family income, but now talking about how his goal is, in the next couple of weeks he'll be able to afford to go and buy materials, so he'll be able to not only just fix bikes, he'll be able to start fabricating some metal stuff, and how he's got this long-term goal. They all have goals, which was so cool. Like 2 weeks I want to be able to do this next year, but like he's saying, in 2 years time I'm going to keep saving and I'm going to build my house, and I'm going to do it with my friends. I've got a friend who's a bricklayer and a carpenter, and we're going to build a house, and I want it to have a steel roof. And so just really cool stories. We can't do them justice. We've got pictures of some of the places, but just to say, like, it's so transformative in people's lives. And the biggest thing I think that stood out to us is how it's holistically transformative. So yes, there's one thing that's really helping them break some of this extreme poverty, and that might be the beekeeping training or the welding training. But their stories aren't just about, well, that's helped me make some more money. It's about, and now I've become a better mother, father. I've become engaged in church life. Some of them even come to faith through this, and my life is changing. I've become a different person, a better person, and really flourishing into what God has for me. And I just love that sort of like holistic transformation.
And one of the other things that a lady here called Matilda was saying is that there's a whole concept around the mindset change. So Global Collective is here to obviously help people with on-the-ground support and set up with a charity partnership to be able to help people access these courses, access the training, get the life skills they need to be able to have a career and a practical skill they can use for business and to be entrepreneurs in their field and to be able to bless others. But she was also saying, like, the mindset change of not just waiting for handouts from different groups to come and give them resources, but to look at the resources that God has given around them and how can they tap into those natural things that are in their own environment that God has blessed them with, that they can use for their business, for their livelihood. So it's that balance of when people do come and give them things, that's great, but then they're still able to flourish and grow and develop and sustain their own community area as well, through the skills and the gifts that they have.
Yeah, and like one thing that's super apparent is that this is very much local led, like local church led, local leaders, Malawian leaders, village leaders, cascading down that way. So one of the things that all of these partners are so passionate about is that it's not just an international group coming in and doing something. This is actually the community doing it for themselves, and that is kind of so cool to see. It's so evident. They led all of the meetings. They told about the project, how they're running them, how they're advocating to government now, how they're making stuff happen. And so it's really then got that sustainable nature, which was really cool to see. It's going to sustain through generations to come. Anyway, today we're off to do another site visit this morning, and then another trip out this afternoon. And so appreciate your prayers, and we'll tell you about it tomorrow. Take care.
Have a great day.